Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes. I'm Sampy.
I'm Christy.
Let's talk about Married at First Sight. Well, Christy, it's a little hard to believe we are already recapping episode 3, but here we are. You did say this is a long season, right? Way longer than The Bachelor.
Yeah, I'd say at least 4 or 5 more episodes.
Oh boy.
Than The Bachelor has.
Just think about all that content people are going to be so happy to hear. Well, let's get into this episode, shall we? I feel like a lot didn't happen, but also a lot happened. So
I don't know. I found this episode pretty entertaining.
Okay. Well, why did it entertain you? Let's start at the beginning with our favorite couple, huh?
Yeah, we had the cliffhanger from last week with Kristen ambushing her dad.
Which are you surprised at all that he sort of came around to it?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to be like, go for it. But I guess at that point, like, he's already there. He already flew in. His daughter has made up her mind. What is he really going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. It's also just a little sad that, and maybe I'm just too traditional here, but I feel like I wouldn't want to walk my daughter, should I end up having one, down the aisle in just like a short sleeve button down.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. I don't know why she didn't tell him a little more specifics of what to wear, or somebody couldn't have ran out and grabbed a shirt from Walmart, something.
Yeah, but I mean, look, not all weddings are super crazy, super fancy. I did want to ask you, sort of twisting away from the couple here, talking about the actual venue itself, because I wanted to ask you that. So you were telling me that they typically use the same venue, right? Because everyone's getting married on the same day, typically. So do they just...
I don't know that it's necessarily the same day, but yes, it's usually the same venue, I think. As all the other couples, not from season to season, obviously, but...
Yeah, because they're in different cities. But, so, like... Because it seemed like, and I don't know if this is typical, but it seemed like they just found a venue where you could have multiple weddings at the same time.
Yeah, because Kristen and Mitch and Lindy and Miguel were married on the same day. We know that.
Right. At the very least. I mean, you definitely did. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just do a Saturday, Sunday sort of thing, but it definitely did seem like, because even they had that like twinkly light tent thing for the reception that was common across the weddings. This is skipping way ahead, but I did kind of find it funny because when we got to see all of the exits from the wedding by the couples, it was all the same, except the people in the line just had a different random item. So like Mitch and Kristen, the people all had light up lightsabers for some reason. There's like a weird like bubble thing on sticks. So I was just curious about that, if they just typically try to find a place that has enough space where they can just throw a couple weddings at the same time. Because it seemed like there was definitely overlap more than just here's a wedding, say, in the morning, and here's a wedding in the afternoon, because they were talking about people had heard people during the other wedding from the other wedding, or like probably from the reception. But
Oh, I guess I missed that comment.
yeah, I was just wondering about logistics, since I don't know what's going on here. I'm a noob. I don't know what's happening. So I always got to go to the experts. Christy.
I do my best.
Well, I appreciate it, as always. Yeah, so Kristen and Mitch, I still just... The whole bow tie thing.
Yeah, what was the big deal with that? He's still moaning and groaning about it. Finally, they called in someone named Slow Meek to fix his tie.
That's an interesting name. I also, too, and again, maybe I'm just coming from a privileged background, but as someone who has worn a bow tie maybe 4 times in his life, like, I totally get not just knowing how to tie a bow tie from memory, but that's why you look it up and follow the directions. I mean, just go to tie. I think it's literally ties.com, or like literally there's or like knots.com or something like that. There's like a whole website of all these tie knots and bow ties and everything, and it's just like a step-by-step sort of thing. So it was just funny to me, the amount of drama that happened over that thing, because even that woman that they brought in, like, she was referring to directions herself. Like, if you watch, she was doing it, and then she would look to her side, like, at the phone to see what to do next, which is, again, totally understandable. I just didn't understand the freak out beyond just, I think he's pretty tightly wound, and so there was all that tightly wound energy, and it needed some, like, outlet to go to, and so, like, the issue with the beard that he had and the issue with the bow tie, I think those were just, like, how he was feeling internally, and those were opportunities to, like, get it out there, essentially. But that's just my opinion.
So Mitch gives her a gift, and it's a plant.
Mm-hmm. Because their love is going to grow. Like,
I guess I shouldn't be surprised he gave a plant.
Yeah, why would you? Why would you be at all surprised by that? I mean, this is Mitch we're talking about, who we later hear has referred to basically that saving the earth or environmentalism is his religion. That was one thing. We heard that he's a professional environmental activist. So no, we shouldn't be surprised at all. I did want to mention briefly, right before this, one of his friends, or maybe even Mitch's brother, was calling him Groomzilla.
Yeah, I noted that as well. It's like, you need to calm down.
Look, this is a very stressful situation, okay? How would you like to marry someone at first sight? You wouldn't.
No, of course not. Of course, she got another James Allen ring.
Okay, James Allen has paid them good money to show off their rings, okay? Look,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we even got one of the commercials was whoever that pastor host guy.
Oh, yeah, the
and
experts.
Then the lady, we even had a commercial where they went through the process.
So dumb. Also, I noted that she mentioned I guess because of the disaster of finding out about her previous fiance's mistress, that he didn't even pay for her previous engagement ring, and she had to pay it off herself.
I was a little confused by that, because how it seemed like to me was that it was on his credit card, but maybe I just misunderstood that. It was on some credit card. I thought that it was on his credit card, but she still ended up paying it off.
Maybe it was like a joint thing.
Maybe
He just refused to pay. I don't know.
It's just like, if that's not on your credit card, you should be like, sorry, bro. You're the one who went off and cheated on me here. Let me. Not gonna do that. But I also can't. Like, if you're putting a ring on a credit card, I can't imagine that was a particularly cheap ring. If you're like, oh, I can't just pay for this.
I would imagine so, especially if it's real diamond.
Oh boy, one of those fancy real diamond people, huh?
I mean, Mitch would probably disapprove. So.
Well, I don't know. I guess that's the question. Would Mitch prefer a real diamond or a lab-grown diamond?
He's gonna want sustainable, like Brilliant Earth or like something like that.
Well, lucky for him, James Allen has a wonderful selection of Brilliant Earth lab-grown stones that are just as clear and beautiful as the real thing.
I hope that's the one she got.
Well, presumably... Okay, I say presumably. We don't know that at all. I was going to say presumably he picked it out, but we don't know that.
Yeah, he might have. They showed a couple of the guys picking rings last week, so maybe.
Allegedly picking rings.
So.
Allegedly.
The next thing we kind of see after all, just the hemming and hawing before the wedding, he, for some reason, I don't understand how this would even be a thing for him, but he mistook Kristen's mom for her, even though she was not wearing a white dress. Like, that makes no sense.
I mean,
you don't walk down the aisle in a pink dress, and Kristen's mom came like wearing a dress. I mean, it was like really low cut. Like,
you could say she was ready to mingle.
Yes.
Sexually. No, I don't know that. I don't know what the state of her mom is, because obviously her dad was there as well.
But
so
aren't they divorced though?
See, that's what I was gonna say. Is I don't know.
Oh.
So it would be.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It would be weirder if they weren't divorced, in my opinion. And also, I think it does make sense since the dad didn't know.
Yeah, and they came separately, and
in that case, yeah, maybe she was looking to get a little something. But yeah, no, he's like, "Are you my wife?"
That made zero sense. Like, which bride comes down wearing a pink dress like that? But, and then like there was like all this like awkward. I guess once Kristen actually did come down the aisle, there was too much of a gap between when you get down and say your name and when the officiant starts talking. So it was kind of just standing around awkwardly laughing.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was a little weird. I also the whole like actual ceremony, or maybe I guess really the vows is, but not their personal vows, but the officiants, whatever you call that, where the officiant is making them go through everything. It's always just it seems weirdly worded to me.
Oh, I don't know if it seems like these weddings eliminate any sort of like religious part of it, so that could be why.
Right.
They sound different.
Yeah, I also just don't like. Do they have to? Like, is there some other like legal element that they have to abide by because they're doing the weddings in this way, or like I don't know. It's just maybe it is because like they just keep it as simple as possible.
Are you talking about where it says like that I am your wife, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
it's
awkward.
the same wording every season, too. Like exactly the same. So
maybe it's like the simplest, least controversial version that they can
basically
do.
just we are joining together at the end.
Yeah. Well, what you gonna do? Nothing. We're just gonna watch. We're gonna eat it up.
So Mitch's friends say that he is passionate about saving the planet.
What? No.
And single-use plastic. So you know if his friends are bringing this up as an important fact, that it's like major for him.
He will single-handedly destroy all single-use plastic from this universe. No.
Oh man, it's just so over the top. So like after, I don't know if you had anything else for the actual wedding, but then after, where they're doing like their toast, he talks about, like you mentioned earlier, he's a professional environmental activist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is it does, they did both have their friends mention loving the beach, so it's a great match. They both want to spend up to 5 days a week at the beach.
Well, let's hope that is not the only thing they have in common.
Hopefully not. Yeah, I also... Here's something I want to talk about. Mitch being all weird about physical stuff. Physical appearance. Because I'm just assuming,
are you jumping?
I'm assuming we're just going by couple here again.
Yeah, are you talking about when they were taking the photos?
Well, he just kept bringing up stuff. Like he even like was talking about it later on too. But yes, that is what I'm talking about. Tell us what happened.
Yes, he keeps saying like, "Oh, I like the natural state, not dolled up." Which like this is her wedding day. What are you expecting? Women wear makeup on their wedding day generally.
Oh, and also, fancy dresses.
Yeah, he wants her. He says later on he's looking forward to her being in sweats, and he's glad she took her heels off.
Okay. Okay. You did not do that justice, because he said he was glad that she took her heels off because it makes her seem more human. Oh, that is
so ridiculous.
It's just so weird. And here's my the big issue that I have with that is, so you can have your wedding be whatever you want it to be, right? Like weddings aren't necessarily this static thing. Like a lot of weddings follow a pretty similar sort of trajectory in terms of aesthetics and general traditions and so forth. But like really, that's all stuff that you can decide as a couple. But when you are agreeing to a thing, a very specific thing like this, like you don't have that flexibility, you don't have that choice, because they're just basically going to give you a pretty cookie cutter, like hit the major beats of a pretty typical wedding, right? It's going to be the flowy wedding dress because they got to have the wedding dress segments that they have. They like it's going to be the suit, and there's wiggle room within that, but like it's going to be the tux, even if it's the tux is a little weird. It's going to be the standard elements of a wedding.
He wasn't really complaining about the elements of the wedding. It was more like what she was wearing.
Right, but what I'm saying is that if he had his druthers, like, he probably would have preferred to, like, have a wedding where they were just standing at the altar in sweats and, like all of these different elements to fit his thing, which, again, who cares? Like, if you... Like, you can make your wedding what you want. I guess what I'm saying is, like, he was so focused on this, like, man, if only she was, like, had less makeup on. Or, like, I just really wish I could see her, like, in her more human form. Like, all this, like, it's just unrealistic.
It's also just rich coming from him who's wearing a tux. Like, he got all fancied up. He got his beard trimmed.
Yeah, but he's not wearing makeup.
It's ridiculous.
Look, and he does have that big old Band-Aid on his head, okay? Like, that's pretty casual.
I suppose. Also, he also talked about how he wasn't immediately attracted to her, but she's voluptuous. So, we can work with that.
She also didn't strike me as particularly voluptuous, and maybe I just don't understand the true meaning.
I don't think it was
voluptuous.
as visible in that dress. I think it was more visible last week, just wearing like normal clothes.
Because isn't that just mean like curvy?
Yeah, / bigger boobs.
Huh. Apparently I don't know anything. But yeah, I don't know. I just sort of going back to my previous observations about Mitch, I just think that there's a lot of unrealistic expectations and unrealistic sort of things that he holds super dear to himself.
Yeah, this is the wrong show to have those expectations.
Well, and it's just also not a great way to exist within a relationship. And look, we haven't seen anything of him basically to this point. I mean, this is the 3rd episode, so I don't want to be too harsh in my judgments, because like we'll see going forward presumably how things go. My observation is just that all of that stuff, that's all fine and good. It's wonderful. He has his things, but if you're in a relationship with another human being, that stuff is going to have to change to a certain extent, because you have to, like, it's just vital to make room for that other person in the relationship. And so, yeah, you're not just totally changing, but like compromise is going to have to happen. And I'm a little scared for him. Because I don't know how this is going to go. So, what do you think the odds are of their success?
I think I would put them at the bottom.
Interesting.
As in the least likely to succeed from this batch of people.
Okay.
Because I just think there's too many issues with Mitch.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think I would put Mitch and Kristen at the bottom, and then I would put Nate. I can't say her name.
Stasha.
I think I would put Nate and Stasha after that in terms of, or I guess technically before. Like if we're starting at the bottom, most chance of failure, Mitch and Kristen. Next most chance of failure, Nate and Stasha, which I think is also perhaps influenced by, like, they're also the two couples that have someone who is more advanced in age. Like, not super old, but like Stasha is, honestly, are they the same age, Stasha and Mitch? Because Mitch is 41, right?
Stasha's not 41.
Oh,
she's in her 30s.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Is she like 37, maybe?
Something like that.
Okay, so a little bit younger than that, but in the older bracket. But this is just maybe my own bias even, but I think that the older you are, the more ingrained in your ways you are.
Yeah, that's true. That should also come with some more maturity, though. So it could balance itself out.
What's going to win? The increase? See, I could see that. Like, I would say Stasha probably has more maturity. I don't know about Mitch necessarily.
Yeah, I also did want to bring up their weird wedding cake they had. But I didn't get a good look at it really because it was kind of dark outside and the cake was like this dark green tower.
Right. It was supposed to be sort of like ocean seaweed theme or something.
It was so strange. It looked more like a kid's birthday party cake than a wedding cake. And it looked poorly done. I don't know. I just didn't understand what was happening there.
Yeah, not the most attractive of cakes. I would be slightly skeptical about the flavor.
I feel like, didn't we even see Kristen like take a bite and then not like it? It didn't look good.
Because here's the thing. Being Mitch, it was probably some sort of like sustainable, like sugar-free, because to make sugar you have to deforest areas in order to plant sugar cane, and so sugar cane and thereby sugar are unsustainable, and so he doesn't do sugar because sugar ruins the environment. And so instead of sugar in the cake, they were going to use honey, but
the bees
the poor bees get their honey stolen, and so that's not sustainable either.
They probably used stevia or something. So they ended up
using stevia, and it just I also, and maybe I'm wrong here, but it looked like there was a lot of crust to most of the cakes. Like they were not
like
just
the fondant.
Yeah,
which
is just disgusting.
It's just for looks. It's not for taste.
Right, exactly. Which is why you should be frosting. Frosting is so good. Why, like,
it doesn't hold up as well.
I would rather have the ugly duckling of cakes that was frosted and be delicious. I mean, Costco sheet cake, so good, so delicious. But no, you have to have the perfect looks. But yeah, no, that cake looked terrible, and she like took a bite of it and was like, no. I also, it seemed like everyone was freezing their butts off.
Yes, it was winter. I think this was filmed back like February-ish. So
oh, really?
That seems to be the schedule for this show. The one season gets filmed in February, the other like, I don't know, September-ish. So, yeah, I'm not surprised everyone was in coats.
Yeah, even
I don't know how cold San Diego gets in the winter, but everybody had a coat on.
yeah, they were really really freezing their butts off. Uh, I still keep going back to like seeming like a more of a real person with her heels
That's
off.
so sad. I feel bad for her that that's who she got saddled with.
I know, especially since like she is so invested in the process. Like she really wants to make it work.
She's gonna have to work to make it work with him.
Right, especially since, and man, I cannot help but feel bad for her through all of this. And look, I'm not rooting for anyone to fail because honestly, this feels way more. And I mean, honestly, it's television, but it really is more real world than the Bachelor franchise. So that's what I'm saying is like I'm not rooting for anybody to fail because like this is much more real world sort of consequences,
it's higher stakes
than like we can sit on our high horses for the Bachelor and be like, oh, Victoria, you're such an idiot like for doing this, and like laugh along with that more, whereas this is just, man, I really hope they can figure their crap out because this is way more impactful. So yeah, I want them to succeed. It just seems like it's going to be a long road potentially from the Mitch side for sure.
I also wanted to talk about when he sat down with Kristen's mom because her mom asked what was his first impression, and he answers that by talking about how beautiful the mom is, which is just what a red flag that is. And when I guess he was trying to answer what was his first impression, he's like, I don't believe in love at first sight, which is like, translation, not that attracted to her.
Yeah, and
which is unfortunate.
I thought he was kind of trying to be like, well, you're beautiful, so, and she like gets that from you, but it didn't
land.
It didn't come off super well.
He also thinks financial success isn't that important. He's more concerned with his impact on the world.
Mm-hmm. Which, based on what her mom was saying, that may be a problem as well.
Yes, I wouldn't like that either.
What financial? That's not important. What do you remember? What Kristen does? I don't remember what her occupation is. Well, hopefully she has the financial success, because I don't know how things are going to be from his side of things. I guess I have a hard time being on board with the whole playing it cool. And I don't know if maybe this is just because he isn't that attracted to her, but this whole like his whole rationale and argument this whole time has been, he's not trying to have false expectations, or this thing goes on and on and on. But at the end of the day, he just seems very on the fence, especially when it comes to like the physical realm.
I don't think he's playing it any certain way. I think he just is skeptical and is not immediately attracted to her.
Right. I know. I'm not saying he's playing games or anything. I'm just saying that it's for me. It's a little bit of a weird, and maybe it's the normal thing, but it seems weird to me if you're gonna go into this process. Like, if I was gonna do this, like, I would be going in sort of, pardon the expression, like balls to the walls, sort of like more of, say, a Justin type response of, this is what's happening. I don't know this person, but I'm going to figure out how to love them. I'm going to be attracted to them and all that. And maybe Mitch's response is the more normal response of being married to a stranger. But it seems weird in the context of the show. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
A lot of people have been skeptical and not immediately attracted before on this show. So,
and has it ever worked out for them?
Very rarely, I would say.
Oh no. A harbinger of doom.
Yeah. But the only other thing about them was a little tidbit we heard on the after party. We heard the backstory about Mitch's severe surfing accident. He hit his head on the rocks, apparently, which that is rough.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, Kristen's mom being skeptical about Mitch's environmental extremism, which is what a phrase that is.
Well, she's totally on board with his lifestyle.
But yeah, I guess we will see what happens.
Yes, we will see what happens, and trust us, we will be here every step of the way. And the last thing I wanted to say about them was, I'm a little sad because it does seem like Kristen is way more into him than he is into her. Just gushing about how, he just, like, he checks all the boxes. Like, he has the beard that she loves. She likes a bald guy. At the beginning of the episode, she said, "I'm like hot for him."
Oh boy.
Which perhaps makes it more sad, even. Because it's one thing if both people are like, you're not really what I'm looking for here.
That's usually not the case. It's always one-sided.
There's one person who's going hard. That's very sad. Well,
let's do Lindy and Miguel next.
Oh boy.
So the first thing is that she initially was turned off by his suit jacket.
No crap.
Which I would have been as well. I don't know why he picked that.
Like, if he had shown, like, if I was marrying him and he'd shown up to my wedding like that, I wouldn't have given him a chance. It would have been over. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty loud.
Yes, bold.
Bold, loud, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there was also, predictably, a fair amount of awkwardness during their dance.
Yeah, because she hasn't done a slow dance before.
As a Seventh-day Adventist, she has not been introduced to the world of dating. I also think that Miguel just did not really understand where she was coming from, like, beforehand. Even though I thought, because she had told him that she was Seventh-day Adventist, but I guess as someone who isn't coming from a religious background, you don't necessarily understand the bigger context of that. But they kind of got on, even though, man, this, I would say, and we don't have a segment for it. Maybe we should have a segment for it, but I would have to say this is probably the dumbest moment of the episode during their dance. when he's talking to her about, I'm not going to tell you you're pretty. Like, come on. You know you're pretty. I'm not going to tell you that you're pretty. What? And I know that he, like, I'm sure as soon as he said that, he realized how moronic that was.
On the wedding day, no less.
Especially since immediately she was like, you better tell me.
Yeah, I feel like he at that point was trying to play it cool. But no, you don't do that.
Even though, isn't that what happened last season with one of the couples? One of the guys just would not.
Oh yeah, that was
at all. Yeah,
I forget his name already.
Look, I may not have much relationship experience, but if you're out there and you're in a relationship or you're wanting to be in a relationship, let me tell you, you better compliment the person you're in the relationship with. Okay? That is the height of idiocy to not. Okay? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that was real dumb of him, but I think he managed to recover.
Let's see. There was, I guess the biggest thing for them happened with Lindy's brother when Miguel sat down.
Oh, that was real awkward.
Lindy's brother just comes right out, guns blazing, and asks if Miguel believes in a higher power, which is kind of a weird way of phrasing that question, because I feel like he's really trying to get at, like, more specifically, like, are you a Christian? But he didn't want to just come out and say that, but...
Which is, I don't know, that's just... Yeah, it is a weird way to put that, because if you phrase it like that, I mean, that could mean literally anything.
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of different religions.
There's a whole bunch of different religions. There's a whole bunch of different just thoughts. Like, even if it's not a religion, like, some people just think, yeah, like, there's some sort of, like, bigger force. Like, maybe it's the universe. Like, there's a whole infinite spectrum of things that are covered under that.
Yeah.
So why don't you just come out and act like, are you okay becoming a Seventh-day Adventist?
And Miguel kind of like stammers and eventually is like,
oh, that was real rough.
Organized religion doesn't make sense to him. And the brother was devastated. He's like, his relationship with God is everything to him. He was hoping that a man his sister married would, like, feel the same way or have the same thing. And it was just a bit of a rough start there. I also feel like it was not the brother's place to come out so strong on the wedding day, being like, are you this?
Right. I would agree with that. I also, one, just because it makes great television. I'm super glad that he asked.
Yeah.
But also, I think in the big picture, I sort of took that as he was trying to get some reassurance or some, because remember, her parents are not there, because her parents are still very much devout Seventh-day Adventists. Her brother is as well, but he like showed up to support, and he's the one who walked her down the aisle. So it just struck me as being an attempt to like get some sort of morsel to take back to his parents and his mother in particular. He mentioned his mother, but like as something to be like, look, I know you don't approve of like this thing where she just get married to a person she doesn't know, but like, and I know you don't approve of that, but look, at least like he's receptive, at least like he believes in a higher power, like maybe he'll come around. That's kind of how I took it.
Instead, he's going to return saying Lindy married a heathen.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone who thinks organized religion is cancer. Which, I mean, what do you expect? Do you have, and maybe this is mean of me, and horrible of me, and maybe I'm just assuming things, but do you have a lot of devoutly religious people of any flavor come on this show? Does that happen? I mean, I know the host is technically a pastor and all that.
There have been some. I think there was one season with Ryan and Clara where one of them was like, I want to raise my kids in the church, and the other one didn't. They didn't work out. Boy.
Really? Whoa. No way.
So it has come up before. But the thing is, when I heard this, at this point in the episode, I was like, uh-oh, the one couple I really thought had a chance. But then an after party, Miguel talked about how Lindy warned him that her family is super religious and that she isn't anymore. So they might actually align in that way.
I don't think that necessarily has much bearing on their relationship, because it's always seemed like she, I don't know what you would call it, is a lapsed Seventh-day Adventist.
Basically left the religion. I don't know.
Left the church and all that. Because even she talked about, she's had relationships and sex and all of that, which is definitely frowned upon by the church. So
it might not be that big of a deal between them. It's going to cause some family friction with the brother, but
exactly. Which is so. I don't think it really affects them. It'll definitely affect her family, and maybe because of that, their relationship. But I don't know. I don't see that being a huge thing unless her family decides to go hard at destroying them, which I guess could happen. Perhaps we'll see. We do get to. At some point, right, they get to meet up with their respective families, right?
That usually happens the day after the wedding, but since Lindy's family isn't here, it'll probably be the brother and friends again.
Okay.
So I'm guessing her parents won't make an appearance at all.
So we really probably won't get a whole lot of resolution.
It'll be the brother carrying the torch.
Oh boy. What did you think about the whole meeting with Miguel's sister?
Priscilla?
Yeah.
I guess, she revealed that they had a rough childhood growing up, and so he needs effective communication. That's basically all I took from that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess what I was picking up is just how awkward that must have been, because she even said, she being Lindy, I don't even know what I'm allowed to ask. But it's you have a sibling here, just ask everything. And if they don't want to answer, they don't have to answer. But
it might have been just too much just for the wedding day and everything to dive super deep into family trauma.
You don't want to go. You don't want to go to a dark place.
That can wait till the next day.
I love it. Till the next day. Don't you just love these compressed timelines?
Mm-hmm.
You just, man, having to date backwards would be so incredibly weird.
Yes, that is one of the major themes of the show. Is we're married, but also I don't know you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did get to bond, and that was a little earlier, but they did get to bond over Spanish.
Yeah,
so that was fun. They do seem to get on pretty well so far.
I think they have the best chance of making it out of these people.
Yeah. I would say, I actually agree with that as well. Man, we are on the same page today. Incredible. Yeah, I would say they probably have the best chance. Then after them, I don't know. I'm gonna put Justin and Alexis. I mean, we may go through some shakiness with that perhaps, but for now, I'm gonna put them at second. We already discussed the bottom two. I guess I may shift things up because we really don't. Number 3 is a wild card because because of COVID we haven't gotten any screen time with Morgan and Ben.
True.
But I'm gonna keep them at 3 for now. I think they could get to 2. Given some time. They seemed like they were both decent, upstanding people. So I'm gonna remain optimistic for now.
Let's go to Stasha and Nate.
Oh boy.
So I wanted to discuss this whole age thing. So the youngest person she wanted to be matched with, she said was 33. And he initially said 27 to 34.
Mm-hmm. And how old is he? Isn't he 32 or 33?
He is 34.
Oh, 34. Well, that was interesting that his range was younger up to his age.
That does not surprise me in the least bit.
Because of him or just relationship dynamics in general?
Both. I feel like men tend to date younger.
That's so weird when the actuarial tables say that you should marry an older woman so you die at the same time.
Nobody's thinking about that, though.
I know, and I think statistically that is actually true on average, but no, you're right. Nobody thinks like that.
No.
I'm a morbid person, which, of course, I thought that was funny how he just apparently Pastor Cal was like, well, dude, if you put 27, like, she's probably gonna be poor. And so you need to raise your age if you want to find somebody who's not. And he did, and here we are. I thought this was such a first world conversation, too, that just talking about San Diego and asking him if he was willing to move, she was willing to move, and they're just like, yeah, we'd be open to multiple homes.
Well, I mean, she's got herself set up right now, so she seems to be doing well. But yeah, totally like,
right? But it's like
the upper class kind of dilemma to have.
I know this, so because like, even if you're more of like a single place for life type of person, it's like who wouldn't want to be wealthy enough that they could just have multiple homes?
Some people can't even get one home right now.
I know. Jeez, check your home privilege. Jeez. Yeah, which look, I mean, she with her, because I guess she does like finance consultation or something like that. In addition to all the real estate, I should try and see if I can dig up some information on the internet to see. I bet I could find some stuff. I'm just interested to know like how much property she actually owns, because it seems like she's kind of amassing apartments, or at least trying to, which can work out quite well financially.
She is a boss lady after all.
Total boss lady.
Also, their cake looked terrible as well. Nate said it looked like cement. I don't know what happened this season with the wedding cakes.
You still go and take a slice out of it. At least seemed more edible than the seaweed cake, which is which is a plus.
We also need to discuss Nate's female friend, Megan. That was quite a scene. Like, but before that scene, we had like Stasha talking about how she's okay with him having female friends as long as like there's boundaries and they aren't crossed. And then they sit down with Megan. This was so funny to me.
Oh, she is in love with him.
Yes. Either that or they slept together at some point. Because she was like way too hands-on into him, talking about all the hiking they do and game nights.
I know. Oh, that was so deliciously awkward.
And then all the like little pointed comments about, yeah, Nate's gonna have to make room in his life for somebody else now, and just call me if you need anything.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Look,
and
bro,
she's only known him for a year.
Look, bro, you're married now. No more booty calls, okay?
No.
Yeah, man.
She's like, you've got a good one here.
Yeah, that is total something there.
Yes.
100%.
The vibes were so strong. And Nate looked very uncomfortable doing this whole thing, too.
I mean, he should.
Oh man, I'd love to know what the history there is.
Oh, that's so funny to me. And if this is uncalled for and rude, I apologize. But out of everybody on this season, Nate strikes me the most as being a potential F-boy.
Yes, I was just thinking that. For sure.
You know, somebody who likes to live a little on the wild side and
I think
put his equipment into somebody else's equipment.
I think his dad even mentioned, like, it's time for you to, like, settle down, something to that effect. So I would not be surprised if they hooked up.
No, not at all. Because really, so she was talking about all of the things that were mentioned in his, like, your friends and family want us to know this about you.
Megan wrote that.
Yeah. She's like, lady, you need to know this, okay? Take good care of him. He refused to be in a relationship with me after we had sex a few times.
Thus the freak in the sheets comment.
Yes, exactly. Because, oh man, because they didn't know who wrote that, and it kind of came up later on. They're like, we don't know who. It was her.
Yes,
okay?
100%.
She wrote that with a tear in her eye. Okay. Thinking back, okay, bittersweet memories.
Oh,
just
man.
Let me tell you, that computer keyboard had a couple droplets on it, let me tell you. Yeah.
Man, I can't wait for more scenes with them. That's hilarious.
It's also Stasha just strikes me as probably the top person in this season to have absolutely no patience for any of that.
No, I think she will put her foot down.
The crap out of him. And well, deservedly so, I will say, because if you're going to be committing to marriage, you actually need to commit to marriage. And look, I think that she was reasonable, to be honest with you, like, because that's exactly what she said. She's like, I don't have a problem with him having female friends as long as, like, the boundaries are
I'd
good.
love to know what her boundaries are, because like if Nate's like messaging her all the time
oh Lord, have mercy.
I don't like, love to know what their current dynamic is and if it'll change.
I would imagine that the boundaries are before sex.
I would hope so. And
yeah.
Speaking of sex, later on, Nate's friends ask him, what if it's just boring missionary all the time? Which, why would you ask that on national television? But
I just...
he says he will guide her in the right direction, even to put her in the right position. So that's fun.
I just... Is this really a conversation that needed to be had?
No. I think also producers do have like some involvement in what people ask, because every season they all, like we saw last night, all the different friends and family, like, oh, so what's gonna happen tonight? Is it you're gonna get it on? Like they every season the friends and family ask that, and it's so unnecessary.
I'm sure that it is producer driven to a large extent.
The missionary comment probably wasn't, but
that's just why
I don't know.
Did I say this? Why? Why is that necessary?
I don't know.
And just a lot of I don't know. Some people might call it confident, but he just strikes me a bit as cocky.
Yes, he's very confident as well.
It's like, oh, you really think you're hot stuff, huh? It's like, oh, if she's not amazing at sex, don't worry, I'll get her there. Like, what are you... Like,
so presumptuous. I don't think she would be on board with that.
No, I don't either. Do we need to say anything more about these ridiculous people? Or can we go to my favorites, the big baby?
Oh, Justin and Alexis. Yeah, we can move on to them.
I'm sorry, Justin. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult you.
Hey, when I saw him, he was on After Party. He looked a lot better there. He didn't look as...
Maybe marriage has aged him.
I mean, he got a better haircut. I think that was the main difference.
Okay. Face the same, just better hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, Alexis was wasted by the end.
So drunk. Oh my goodness. Every ITM she did.
You're like, nah.
So much slurring and looking away, and oh man. That was rough. I didn't remember seeing her drink a lot, but man, we saw the after effects of it.
Yeah, I don't blame her necessarily.
I mean, it's a stressful situation, but
stressful situation. Just chug the wine.
I mean, she probably needed a good chunk of wine to get through Justin's garter removal.
Oh man, so I want to touch on this briefly because it is so weird. I don't even know what the origins of this practice are, okay?
It is so cringe.
It is so weird. Especially if you sort of do the bouquet toss but for garter. I don't think... Did Justin actually do that? I know a couple people did that.
Tossing it.
I think it was Miguel that maybe didn't toss it, but some of them did.
I think Miguel did toss it. He tossed his bow tie.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember if Justin tossed it though.
That is so incredibly weird to me. Why would you do that?
It's so awkward. Like you're crawling your head up the skirt, everyone cheering and yelling, and her mom is just sitting there watching. And then his weird dancing he did, like before and after.
Why is this a thing?
I don't know. It's very uncomfortable, but also funny.
I mean, the bouquet toss is weird enough as it is, but it's not quite as weird because it's not so blatantly sexualized. Real weird.
And you know Alexis was pretty drunk when she's in her ITM saying stuff like she has a designer vagina. That's not something a sober person says.
I would generally agree with you. She's a little bit feisty, so maybe it is something she would say. But I guess, yeah, there's just a lot of back and forth, really, with all the couples about like, oh well, ooh, are you gonna have sex tonight? Are you not gonna have sex tonight? I didn't totally appreciate Justin's attitude towards this necessarily with his friends. Just how he was talking about it.
I had a hard time making out everything he was
Right,
saying.
because he kept getting bleeped because
Yeah.
I think he was using some naughty words there regarding what he was going to do to her.
Yeah, I think the gist was he's ready to get it on.
Yeah, he was gonna give it to her, essentially, is the vibe that I got, which is just, I don't know.
Yeah, he's been celibate. He's
No,
ready.
he's ready
to go.
He is ready. He's so ready.
So we also learn, like, once Alexis and Justin get back to their hotel room, where she is still drunk, it seems.
Oh, she
could not even. She couldn't even sit up straight. But she does reveal that she and Justin matched on Hinge 4 months earlier. And
so weird.
Then we learn on after party? Yes, because Justin revealed that they actually added each other on Instagram, and then he sent her a message, but she never replied back.
Yeah, initially, and then later, I think he maybe sent her another message and she, being like, "Hey, like, you know, like, this is me, like, from Hinge." She's like, "No, I know."
Yeah, which is like real awkward now because it's like she technically rejected him earlier, and now they're married.
It's also it was funny as well when she's telling him this. He's like, "Oh, that wasn't me," and she's like, "How many 7-foot people are on Hinge in San Diego?" Because he tried to be like, "Oh, I just have one of those faces."
Yeah, no.
No, no, siree, no, you do not. That is really weird. And I was asking you this earlier, but do me the favor of talking about it again. So the producers must have known about that, right? Like, surely.
I don't know. I don't know if they have you submit like a list of your exes, but even so, they didn't date, so that wouldn't have even come up. So unless producers are like given access to dating profiles and matches and Instagram DMs, I don't know.
You don't think that
I'm
they
not
did.
convinced they knew. There's a chance, but
okay. Yeah, that is very strange. Very, very strange. Has anything like that happened before?
yeah, it wasn't last season, it was the season before last. Johnny and Bao had like knew of each other like 10 years earlier. Like they were like at different, like, it was like in college, they were on like different club groups. I forget what it was. So when she started walking down the aisle, he goes, "I know her." They didn't end up working out because Johnny was just terrible. So
Well, that what a twist.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's got to be a little awkward for him.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, well, hopefully Alexis can get sober after a couple days. She was pretty stinking sloshed.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you. I see these shows and I say to myself, how can you how can you just be there getting filmed like this and just be like, well, whatever, let me just continue sucking your face off?
That's not abnormal for this show.
Oh, no, it's not abnormal for the show. It's abnormal for me as a normal person. I don't want my making out to be captured on camera. I don't need that.
I think alcohol may have played a factor there.
Alcohol? No, none of them drank. None of them at all. Yeah, so we've made it now. Not very far still in the grand scheme of things, I guess.
Yeah, they'd really dragged these. You could tell towards the end of the episode they were just, it's a lot of fluff.
Is that just because they didn't have the Ben and Morgan wedding?
I don't know why they didn't just put that in this episode, because it's not like, I know it happened after it was delayed, but by the time this airs, you can just put it all together.
Right, it's not like it's happening in real time.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why they did it that way, because, yeah, we're still not done with the weddings.
Nope, still 3 episodes later, we still have wedding to happen. I wonder if, will that be weird for you to, because presumably next week we'll get their wedding, but we'll also be on the honeymoons then at that point, or will we still be the next day meeting all the families?
They'll meet with the families. Usually towards the end of the episode is when you see them like packing and heading off. I'm not sure, but then the other wedding might throw that timing off. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure.
Everything is in chaos right now.
Yes.
Chaos. Freaking Ben getting COVID, though he swears on his life that he wasn't being reckless. It's not like he was going clubbing, which is just funny to me. And maybe it's just the realities of being someone who's not old in a city. But if I were to get COVID in that situation, my like explanation would not be, oh, I wasn't being reckless. I wasn't going clubbing. I guess it's just a city life thing. People go clubbing in cities.
Oh. I guess. I can't relate. But
so the question is, what was he doing?
He could have gotten it from anyone, literally.
True. COVID will strike everywhere when you're least expecting it. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, hopefully they get that situation sorted, because I'll be honest with you, okay? I know I may project a tough, crusty exterior, but on the inside, I'm a big softie, and I missed Ben this episode. I missed him. Okay, and I'm not afraid to admit it. That's just how it is. So I'm looking forward to seeing their wedding. I'm looking forward to seeing actually how similar it is to the other weddings, given that it's going to happen afterwards. Is it going to be another carbon copy? Is it going to be... Are they going to get their twinkly light tent thing? What's going to happen?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll still be able to book the same venue if it's delayed, but...
I mean, for global sensation Married at First Sight, I mean, you gotta do it if you're the venue. I mean, here's a tangent on that, but how big of a deal is it, or do people literally not care at all about sort of the stuff, the wedding related stuff? So, example, you obviously have the James Allen rings. That's a product placement. They've spent $1 bajillion to make sure everyone has their James Allen ring, but maybe a little bit more subtle is things like the tuck shop and the wedding dress place and the wedding venue, all of that different stuff. Is that stuff that is that a boost for these businesses? Do people care? Do people know like the venue where they got married, like things like that?
I don't think anybody really cares about the tux and dress shops. The venue maybe.
Okay.
But I don't remember if they even mentioned where this venue is though. So if they didn't mention it, then people have to look it up on the internet and try and find it. But I don't think it's a huge deal.
Huh.
I think the honeymoon destination is more of a draw.
Okay, so is that like, because you'll sort of have that in The Bachelor, well, they'll have that panning drone shot across and it'd be like Mansion X.
I think I've seen the names of the honeymoon destinations. There was also one season where one of the women did not like the honeymoon destination and continued to trash it while we were there.
So do they just typically like throw them into like an all-inclusive resort sort of situation?
Yeah, it's, to me, the honeymoon destinations aren't really like super impressive. It's usually like Mexico or something,
probably
close by.
somewhere in the Caribbean.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially with these COVID seasons, they haven't gone too far.
Mm-hmm. Also, do they ever send them to Europe or something?
No.
Well, look,
not that I remember, at least.
Look, it makes total sense because sort of the tourist business model of, like, say, Mexico, a lot of the islands in the Caribbean that people visit, like that sort of all-inclusive resort type thing, that is the model where you just, okay, here is X amount of money and you stay here for a week and you eat and mostly drink to your heart's content for that time, and everything's fine and dandy and you don't have to worry about anything. So I'm not surprised by that. Yeah, I do wonder if those resorts get a Married at First Sight boost.
I don't know.
You know, because I also don't know, and this is terribly embarrassing to admit, but how big is Married at First Sight?
What do you mean?
Is it a global phenomenon?
Well, there's Married at First Sight in other countries. Like, there's Married at First Sight Australia.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting. Yeah, I was just wondering if they got a boost from like all these resorts or vendors, things like that, from being associated with Married at First Sight. But that's just a personal interest of mine. So, well, any last words, Christy?
No, just looking forward to the next episode.
Oh, me too.
The drama.
It's going to be super exciting. And as always, we will be back with our hot takes.